Hey guys, welcome to our weekly pick a card reading. I'm Steph, your Inkblot Oracle. You're welcome to step into this intuitive reading so you can choose your adventure that may enhance wherever you are right now, or illuminate something, or add a little inspiration. So these 3 scrolls are made in the name of, I'll let you know in just a moment as you're contemplating which portal is standing out to you. Timestamps are below, of course. This is the hero's journey. Thank you to the inner circle for bringing this forward. And these are kind of keystones, not defining beyond this moment or to anyone else. But in this moment, we have the Fool, Strength, and the World. So wherever you may be, personal, professional, corporate, creative, romantic, platonic, as there's a myriad of probably these hero's journeys going on within us. If the Fool is standing out to you, here is where we're going to dive in and explore the call to adventure, going off-roading, from paved paths to unpaved paths. Maybe you've already been doing that in one regard and you know you're stepping in another, whatever the case is, number 1. Number 2 is strength. If anything is standing out and speaking to you, allow those shapes and symbols like the clouds and the fire and the land to speak to you. You can absolutely comment below. But in regards to the hero's journey, if you're landing or being called to start with strength, to step in here, you may be on the roads and rivers of these trails, whether it's trailblazing, following other trails that have been started, or, like if you're walking through like a bush or something like that, and you can see there's been a habit of people utilizing this path, but then it kind of ends. It's like, well, where now? And then number 3 is the world. And this is where the irony of the world, very ascent and descent. And, from the intellectual space, and I know, but follow whatever the world might mean to you and whatever symbols are stepping forward. And the spirit messages that come from that, because that's for you, from you, for you. The world is about returning, not necessarily to restart like a loop or anything like that, but to return and integrate and kind of relish in this as you start to create now or have the map. All right. You choose whether you're stepping in a 1, 2, 3, a Fool, Strength, World. Maybe you're going to come back on Tuesday and you're like, I want to step into the world today. Or a 3, 2, a 1, 3, 2, whatever feels good. I will see you at your choice chosen. So much love. Like a fool, like a fool. Take a look, drink it in. Feel well to comment any of your insights as we all become the readers, seers, oracles, what's stepping forward, what you're getting the sense of. And we'll add some tarot and oracle in the shaman's palm along the way. So there's an emblem here. It is an emblem. I'm also seeing Lululemon, but I also think for one reason or another, I don't know, I think that there is a similar symbol that kind of looks like the outline of Lululemon, but it might mean something else. Gonna just tickle the tongue with maybe something Greek or a certain lettering in another language that I'm in, but it is an emblem. I'm also seeing something stirring, and this feels like the call to adventure. This doesn't mean, or at least the way I'm going to say it, this doesn't mean releasing responsibilities and taking off in any sort of way. I think in this realm, in whatever context it's in, it's like being at a corporate job and filing, and there's an opportunity that you have the call to consider, contemplate, communicate a different filing system because you've been doing this for so long that you can see that now. You know what I mean? And then there's also, if I may, to that, fresh eyes. When you get, sometimes the new people come into jobs or whatnot, or in different positions, and they have fresh eyes, fresh energy. They're not yet conformed to the flow, which has its pluses and minuses. We can go through all the things, but sometimes that fresh eyes, that fresh energy is like, it can be challenging to those, those of us that may be, or whichever you are. But then it can also be very welcoming because there's opportunity there. And however this is, whether you've been doing something, I don't want to shame it the same way for a long time. It could be your steady eddy. It is your thread. It is your cord. It is your knowing, right? So whichever way this may be in, but in this space, I feel like whether it's, what you're doing all the time and for a long time, or you're stepping into that very same energy with new eyes, which ironically is the very spark if we follow through the hero's journey, only here in the 3 with the Fool, Strength, and the World. It's almost like that very call, that very point of view is the return. So in order to even be here means we were once there. Fascinating. There is an I don't know sensation here, weighing things out like a black stone or a white stone of like a vote. And this looks like an old way of voting, the black or the white. It's clear, it's simple, it's a pro-con list, but the calling remains. How you might decide to step into it, go about it. This could be the debate. There's also something beautiful, which also, it's funny because I feel like as I'm here in the Fool energy of our muse, I'm also seeing very clearly the World, which will be number 3. Because it's like, oh, it's the seed of, say, starting again. A pollination has happened. And the brilliance of, and I'm sure we'll speak to it if I remember, but that's never guaranteed. I don't know. That is what I know. I know that I don't know, and that I know. Okay, so there it is. There are owl eyes in here, but they have wolf-shaped pupils. So if you can blend the owl and the wolf together, both may be nocturnal to some degree or another. I'm not sure with the wolf exactly, but in this space, it's like seeing a werewolf and the changing of this point of view, the willingness to follow the call and say, what? I feel like I'm seeing people at a business meeting. So whether this meeting is you and your family, you and your friends, where you're going to go on vacation next, girls' night, boys' night, sitting around at the bar, or if it's your company, your cohorts, or a mind merge of all the different parts of you, all the archetypes coming to the table. And a part of you might be nervous or, again, feeling this call is like, who's going to speak up and say, but have we considered this? Could we? Let's talk about it. And sometimes that moment can feel in regards to maybe past considerations traumatic. It reveals the room, who is supported to some degree or another, not in all ways, shapes, or form, but it kind of reveals power dynamics, like who's protected. Because maybe you could think in this example, oy vey, I'm all over the place, but follow the ramblings or pick and flick what feels good to you. It's like, but if somebody else would say something that's good, bad, or ugly, ridiculous, or awesome sauce, it will be heard, or they'll be like, oh, but so-and-so said, well, let's talk about that. And maybe you've had a history of, but when you say it, they're like, well, no, that's not a good idea. And it's like, but if somebody else would have said it, it would have been great. And maybe that's about reading the room and your ability to read the room. Now, whether or not that's likable or not, and you might be able to maneuver and have already utilized some strengths coming into the center space that you're like, well, okay, so I know this is how this power dynamic works. So I'm actually going to have this conversation over here, seated over here, because then they'll speak to it. I don't care about getting credit. I just prefer the idea to come to the table. But for one reason or another, whatever these dynamics have been, were, or are, if it comes from you or a version of you, even in your own archetypal energies, you're like, it needs to come in from the side. Okay. So wherever this is landing, and I think it's making sense as I'm stepping into it, because I feel like it has happened, or when the reflections happen, am I going to say something? Am I going to follow it? Am I going to just do it? It happens quickly. Like maybe there's like a fluttering, but I do see this space of maybe looking at that dynamic in this one example and saying, well, if this is the power dynamics of the room, whoever these people are, parts of ourselves, likable or not, can we accept them? Because we're filling a role there. Now, whether that's, whatever the case is, but we're filling a role. And you might be, even if you're here, the I, you, we, me's of this, sensing, well, I'm actually going to change my role. And that's not going to look cold or cutthroat or press myself into this. Because I think you've been through, in some regard, I think you've been through this. And somehow maybe you feel pigeonholed. And we've done that to ourselves, but can we accept it? All right. I'm not trying to be harsh, but we've done this to ourselves. There's always this air of accountability, because that's the whys at work. So Fool, hi, we're back in. Thank you. I feel like I'm releasing. I'm hearing like up in smoke. And this feels like this detachment through acceptance. Okay, so this is the power dynamic of this room, this table, symbolic as it may be. And when you start to change that, if this position has been you, is you, or is somebody else, if you're looking at somebody else, I'm going to stay in the personal space. And maybe you start to remove yourself through that acceptance. Here's the beautiful thing that's kind of coming through. It's almost like that's when more noise or attention happens, because there's a sensation known subconsciously, energetically. Oh, no, no, no. If you like, oh, no, don't go. We would totally want to hear what you have to say. All the things, all the sprinkles on donuts, and then the noise comes up. And you have a choice. I think you've also been here before where oh, okay. And lo and behold, there is a loop, there is a cycle. And it's like, okay, but because it's just formalities, the response and reaction to ensure this position has been filled by you if you're here. And if not, you know how to apply it. And so I feel like you're no longer even in that loop. So when the noise comes up, because this calling that you have towards an adventure, I think, is of acceptance. Accepting it. Oh, okay. Okay. So what would I like to do now? And I also think as things are happening very fast in one scope, there is a brilliance of slowness. It's kind of like in that spirit of like a detoxing, like by accepting, the detox of detachment starts to happen. And whether it's noticed or not, I don't feel like, it's kind of like if you're leaving a job, it's like, well, if I don't hold this position, then they're going to find out. Sure, we can all feel the feels, right? Because there may be some rage, some resentments there. That's for IUMEs to work through, to feel those fully and not press them down. We may not exert them or share. You get the gist. So here, it's like, and it's almost like, yeah, one day, poof, you might be gone. You might not be that black sheep in the family. And as that black sheep removes itself, in some ways, I don't even know how it looks, because it's going to be different. And it is different how it's done, because that's the personal alchemy of this. That's the hero's journey of this, the holistic nature of this. Who then, there will be assigned now, or somebody else brought in to become the new black sheep. because there may be at this table that you're aware of, nobody else wants to be this position for one reason or another, because it would heighten their insecurities that they've been able to shield behind through their strengths. We don't want to poo-poo strengths. Absolutely lead with that. But there is this symbiotic relationship that if you're sitting here, which I'm sensing is the head of a table, and it's wonderful when we look at our tables and says who sits at our tables, and then when we sit at other tables. And by sitting at others on a side or wherever doesn't take away from when you're the head of your table. Okay. Oh my goodness. This emblem also that feels like it's sparking a radio frequency. So like depending on your age or memories or access to the olden days, the rabbit ears, the antenna. So your awareness is in the antennas of this, of the adventure. Am I saying all the words in the right order? I'm not sure. And it's fine if I'm not. Okay, let's add on some cards and then I'll flip this Inkblot along the way. In the cave, that was so many. In the Cave of Ice, we have Queen of Pentacles, the Six of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. So this is all in the Cave of Ice. And in this space of the Cave of Ice, it feels like we may have been frozen in time, an aspect, a placement, a position in our mind, a perspective. And your call to consider moving towards and having the strength, number 2, spiritual, energetic, whatever the case is, maybe even emotional. The spirit of such is celebrated as you de-thaw this. Again, it might take some time depending on what the environment is. It's like if I put this ice cube, let's say a symbolic ice cube representing the Cave of Ice, and we put it in a sauna, and maybe that sauna represents a certain environment that you're in, and it's going to melt quickly. And then it could be in a different kind of temperature, energetic environment, and it'll take some time. So it's all good. It's all good. Queen of Pentacles is embracing that, what I'm sensing, follow whatever it means to you, is saying it's like that strength and softness and the symbiotic relationship with wisdoms and accepting what's happening here at work. What is at work here? And if you make your judgments, those judgments are for your decisions. They're not necessarily applied to that person as a projection, person, place, or thing, or even these other positions, archetypal, energetic, etc. But they're just judgments for you to make your decision. They're not projected out and applied to that person, but they do ignite a discernment that will be very useful and is very useful for your future, quote unquote, future endeavors. You also have pentacles, swords, and wands here. You are the cup. You are the cup. If somebody is getting married, congratulations. I also see something about there's crescent moons dancing. So this could be something about the moon, your sleep state, of course. But I am seeing the unity of like 2 crescent moons. And it's like all the phases in the waxing and the waning. But imagine like just the center of the moon was dark and we got 2 crescent moons just off to the side. It's like a new cycle, a new way of looking at this. Something that has been the same, short or long term, because this is happening in many ways at the same time. Okay. Cave of Winds is 6 of Cups. This could have something to do with an inner child. But I am just seeing spirit with these ducks here. You've already met with the raven. You've received that's the calling here, Cave of Ice Still. That's the calling. And you're given the tool to pursue. And in your mind, in the Cave of Winds, of the wands, and the cup appears. This is where, in our mind, we're reminded we are the cup. You are the Holy Grail, if that's the language for you. The trophy. And you're not just maybe in some way, shapes, or forms, place yourself where it fits. We're participants, and we get a trophy for just being a participant. It's time, it's energy, it's presence. But I do see you following an imprint that is naturally within you. In the Cave of Hearth Fires is the Ten of Pentacles and the King of Swords. See that child there with the hand being held in the Ten of Pentacles? I do feel like this is also kind of like black sheep vibes. We were talking about the family. It could be a father figure or our masculine energy, right? Or the archetype of such king in our minds. The head of the table, or is it a round table? Is it an oval table? Is it an octagon table? Maybe different tables, different shapes. Okay, cool. Nonetheless, so you're stepping in to this hero's journey. The Fool is easily pegged by maybe others that are really scared to step in, but would never ever say it. So there's a superimposed strength that's placed over them because they'll lead with that to ignore. Now that's their story. If you see that, the Fool sees a lot of things and never says a damn word because that's the wisdom. It's information. It doesn't feel malicious because you know what mischievous feels like when people are manipulating and doing things, and it's always to their advantage and benefit. And I think to some degree or another, in some way, shape, or form, that's not the only example of doing things for one's benefit. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just that's where it has been shown to you to maybe keep you like, no. But the call is stronger. The call is stronger because it comes from spirit, comes from your psychology as well. It's grand. And there's a grand gesture here to the self. And a spirit guide, if you're working with a spirit guide or a spirit in particular, and if we may, your higher self, takes your hand, says, let's go. 10 of Pence and the Heart of Hearts. And the King of Swords of the mind, let's just say maybe that there's been stress about this, can release the butterflies and feels relaxed, like the pressure has been taken off of being in this position. Says, I've been wanting to try this or have this beginning. Dip a toe to create because the ideas are plentiful. They're exploding from your mind. And again, you know a lot of things. Yeah. I won't reveal that to anyone else. But you know a lot of things. I have flipped the scroll. Take it in. I keep hearing the song, so I'm just going to say, take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. I'm also seeing that possibly somebody is making your decisions that are best and to benefit of you. There might be something that, like, say you take a pay cut now, short term, because long term, something else is better. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has the room to become more than whatever once was. And a pay cut might seem like a sacrifice, but maybe you get more happiness. You know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those things. Obviously not being irresponsible. And if you can't take a pay cut to pay your bills, this, that, or the other, but it's also something in the space of maybe like downsizing. And it does feel like and even in that, maybe it's a home or a car, like maybe you have a minivan and you don't need the minivan anymore. You're like, I'm just going to get a little coupe. Gonna get a little coupe, whatever. You do you. I love it. Discerning decisions, but make no mistake, maybe sometimes it's important, the Fool reminds us as we follow our callings, that we recognize too and accept that we will make decisions and do things to our benefit. And maybe in some regard, you've just been at the helm or on the other end of that for other people. I'm not talking about being of service to family and friends and all that. It's a very different vibe. Yeah, I think I've said it well enough. There are eyebrows. It's like I'm looking, I'm looking. I am seeing construction. Sometimes a construction requires destruction first to get to the bones of something. I am seeing flowers as eyes. It's like I can see something that just, it's like, imagine if my eyes were flowers, like my whole eyes were flowers that were closed up, maybe it's like nighttime. And then as the sun, like sunflowers or something, and then they open up, imagine like they're just all blooms. Now it's not so much about seeing through rose-colored glasses and just, I love the world and the world. I don't need to care. Everything will be provided. And da 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 da. I don't want to crap on anyone's parade if that's your vibe and that's how you work. But in this moment, it also feels very grounded. And that's kind of the brilliance of it. That is grounded in action or words, silence or sound. It is not a blind trust that has an air of codependency around it. I'm not trying to trigger anybody. I think this is things that you've seen, whether it's in the collective you've interacted with. And, when things look away, but they're really very codependent on something, we don't want to judge that. It's not our story. However, you can see it. And that's all. And you're like, okay, I do or don't want that. It's just a measuring the vote in our minds and hearts. There's also a being stepping forward here. I'm just trying to get a gauge on 10 of Wands is coming through in the cave of rivers, cups, emotions. There's some burden. It's from the OG side here. It was right here. And even that owl is something that's been chiseled, sculpted. It also brings me into the clay of self, what's on the bottom, 9 of Pentacles. Because if 9 of Pentacles being on the bottom at this moment, it's like you are the bottom. You are the 9 of Pentacles. And going back somewhere in this story, it's like at this table of all these positions that have been pegged or pigeonholed, accepted, signed. And because they know, that you're the 9 of Pentacles. But if you maybe shine or say on that own merit of being your own 9 of Pents, that might threaten them. Other situations, contexts may be like, yes, please say something. We've been waiting. We've been waiting for you to shine, setting the table for you as much as possible. Please, this table is very welcoming. And we get that your shyness and your trauma and your history has hardened like a clay and has warped your wonderful workings. And right in this moment, it's like coming over the curvature of emotions. This is, I feel a welcoming yes. Imagine even if this table was just different parts of you. Please, inner child, inner adolescence, adult, the corporate, the romantic, the friend version, apply all the positions and titles. Friend, sister, brother, uncle, this, that, or the other. and say, we've been waiting for you to say something. Yes, please do follow the call and collaborate, because you are a Nine of Pentacles. We see it, and we've been waiting for you to claim it within the self. Also, whatever might be weighing on the mind, with that clay, it could feel formlessness, and following the Fool in this moment of exploration, it can feel like a formless blob of clay. You will sculpt that out as you follow that calling. Does that make sense? I feel like it does. Okay. This being coming through here. Okay, so I don't know what kind of animal they are, but I'm going to like say a manatee, because there's something like myrrh about them. And also like a one-horned animal. But it's almost like if a manatee had a horn that didn't go forward, then it went back. Almost like on a car when they have those fins or that thing on the back that helps with aerodynamics, whatever that thing is, that thing. Something with aerodynamics. Somebody doing the splits. I'm also seeing if this person was sitting here and this person is sitting here. These are the arms, these are the legs. I'm seeing it, sitting wide-legged fold, or a wide-legged seat. This is all closed up. This is open. This is connected in, like what's being sculpted. I'm also seeing two eyes, a nose, looks like a dog. Loyal to a fault, but where you're loyal to in your life essence and life force, essentially your love, and where unconditional love exists, and where people or ourselves might say unconditional, but there you find out, you learn there are buts. Oh, it's unconditional, but all right. Closing out messages. Cave of Earth or your Pentacles is the Three of Wands and the hanged one, the hangman. Take it in, follow them if they mean anything to you. So now, in the beautiful way that I'm seeing this, it's almost like if I was still this person sitting here and this was like a design on the air balloon, but it is the hangman that's not hanging upside down. Someone also might feel like a fallen angel in a spiritual sense. There might also be an air of grief going on here in the hero's journey, where the heart is going through a journey of, okay, so if I may, total compassion. And I'm not trying to glorify or sugarcoat grief, but this is part of the unconditional love. And if we are to, for a moment, be at a table filled with grief, if we've lost somebody and it left a hole, that person mattered, that pet mattered, that child, again, apply all of the ages and positions, they mattered so much. What a gift that is. And the loss of that, the separation of that. The point is, unconditional love includes grief. And so accepting that something has happened, a change, a shift, their call to return home, their exit point, insert whatever systems feel well for you, to parts of ourselves when our inner child had to shut down to survive, when the inner adolescence was on fire with fury and power and no fear and was shunned, when the inner adult or young adult was striving to prove presence has value, what I'm good at, I'm willing to learn, to the being a midlife adult and going, I don't know. I don't know if we sit at this table and hold the unconditional love with grief in there as well. Because maybe that will help it transmute it into hearing our next steps, or when to take a seat and rest, receive, step forward, step back. I hope this has made sense in some way, shape, or form. Thank you so much for being here this week for this hero's journey. I'm going to head on over to number 2 if you're joining us, but if not, until next time, so much love. I will see you next week. All of the links are in the description box if you want to head to the House of Scrying, a new postcard print club I've got going on over there if you want to get in on that, or you can join the inner circle. And I love our inner circle. Once a month, I ask you guys for ideas, or you can, just simply be at the table. And I love that. Okay, until next time. Bye. Number 2, strength. This Inkblot is for you. Take it in. Wander around the shapes and symbols. Comment, don't comment. Drop an emoji. I get it. And I love it. I love our weekly adventures. I don't know. They're just so fun. Okay. Are you ready? There's a person. Where's my little stick? In here. I don't know if they're like Viking-y. I am seeing thunderbolts. I think they're Viking-y. And forgive me if there's other cultures that have a similar look and vibe, or it's culture specific. But I am seeing them come through. Now, strength stepping into the center of our hero's journey as just points of reference. I feel like this is where the rivers and roadways, like our asphalt rivers and asphalt roads, you've chosen to go from the courage and cowardiceness alike that's here, that the fool has decided, played with, and now it's like choosing. It's not even, the choice was made in the fool. If you're here, you might be in the motion of feeling cowardice and courage, connection, conversation, and noticing or defining maybe better for oneself or those conditions of what actually connection means. Attention doesn't equal connection. Connection, have you ever been with like a friend or something? You can just sit in silence, or you can laugh about nothing. You can talk about non-serious things, and it is so fulfilling. It is fun. It is sentiment. You get the gist. And so you've already chosen. You're off the beaten path. You're from the norm anyway. And the black sheep, kind of been the symbol, says, hey, I'm going to take these roads less traveled. I'm going to try these rivers and see by experience, have the experiences. I don't know if you, Amy, if you're here, recognize all the time how admirable this is. And maybe that's like that Viking, like a new world, or is that their thing? Excuse me, I'm not trying to be rude. Because I feel like there's also like taking over and things. But where you've had to defend yourself in some instances of different situations, you've had to defend yourself with vigor. You cultivated strengths. Even if you stayed silent, you learned how to recognize the signs and the symbols from spirit, from people, from their emotions, the whole gamut. There's also a Davy Crockett here. I can't quite remember Davy Crockett's thing, but I feel like adventure. Also like a McGuire. Is it McGuire? MacGyver. McGuire. McGuire going on an adventure. And this ability to probably find out more about yourself and your strengths that were silent, hidden sleep states as well. There could be something really significant about your sleeping skill, whether it's dream shaman or lucid dreaming, different altered states. But I want to kind of keep it like really cool on the surface level for one reason or another, because there is a physical preparation. There is time spent to nurture this, to sit in the cowardiceness sometimes when we're feeling scared, nervous, and presenting a strength. You get the gist. You get the gist. Oh my goodness. Okay. The trials, it's like putting yourself through the trials that are not at the behest of others, projections. But when you notice maybe when things are projected out, it's kind of like, I don't know, pickleball, ping pong. It's a jovial experience. The stress that maybe others, I'm going to use as the example, or parts of us, of course, at this table would like each of us to carry, or the parts of ourselves, it's like, I can contemplate this, be scared, nervous, unsure, but stress, that's expensive. And it's almost like looking at oneself when you are stressed in this space of strength, and maybe stress is a big feeling right now. Maybe it's a big topic for your energy. I'm stressed. And who, what, where, when, whys of that in your journeys, whether on the roadways of moving somewhere, the stresses of moving, changing jobs, going for a walk in certain environments, to sailing the asphalt rivers when you get in your car, getting a new car, like all of these things, wherever it may be, to the subtler systems as well, because strength seems to really highlight the subtleties, even if we don't think it's happening. The strengths on the surface serve as the foundation for subtleties to come forward and have their time to speak, to shine, to say something from ourselves, within ourselves. And this is what the spirit message seems to be, whether it's from your higher self, spirit guides, or deep within your belly because you have an ulcer from stress, or somebody in your family just continues to stress you out. Are they worth that expensiveness? Is the choosing the fool to say, I'm going to start to accept and detox from the detachment without having a moral martyrdom about it, but just a good choice, because something is expensive. There's some energy exchange. Being honest, of course, that there's an energy exchange that's expensive, that's not worth it. Like maybe they've made themselves way more like they try and tell you how valuable or how much to blame you are for why. And I don't think it's in this moment, it's not feeling that way. I'm like, hold on. No, it's like seeing a handbag by, I don't know, throw a label on, and then they sell like fake ones. So it's like a fake one. They're still a handbag. They still hold things. We're not taking away from the base understanding of this tool. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Because I'm seeing that gremlin. The gremlins come through quite a lot for me, and it's become a really fun symbol of like temperament and these rules. And on one hand, it's like a boundary. Here's the gremlin, so cute, so cuddly, but here's the rule. Here's the boundary of respect. Don't feed after midnight or don't get wet. Maybe both. I can't remember. There's rules. And if somebody keeps busting your rules and it turns you or them into the other scary gremlin, like I don't know, irritating. Like why is this not being accepted for what it is? And it's almost like by saying, in whatever context this is in, by saying it's not worth it, the expensiveness of this energy exchange for the stress. Now somebody else, and maybe you would find a way to say it, or how you've said it to yourself hopefully is well kinder, to be like, that doesn't mean that person's or this part of us value is determined for them. No, right? Because no one else can define that for us either. So it's has this spirit of like, that's for you. Again, it's just the exchange rate. The value system is off. And if somebody has tried to make their place like, you need me or we need to be needed, that's revealing for us to be like, oh my goodness. And so we look at the two gremlins. If you're here, I adore this because I feel like I'm just getting more and more liminal. Let's get liminal. All right. There's also insectoid antennas. And if I recall in the one, they were like rabbit ears, the old metal thing. And now it's like antenna, feeling things out. But from a different distance, it's a different kind of distance. There are Snoopies in here. I am seeing a dog, two dogs in a bed together, like in a dog bed, like they're buds. I love that. So even if you've had a pet recently pass, or if you do have two pets and they're becoming buds, I love that. It's almost like the other pet is still around. There's a cross in here. It's kind of bringing me into like the Red Cross. And possibly healing. It's actually bringing me into like temperance again. All right, let's add some cards here. What else is going on? Oh, there's a window. I'm just going to say it because it keeps coming through. Loki and Wolverine. And something fun. Oh, one of those Venus flytrap plants. You know when people do, is it not mascara? Eyeliner? Like I'm such a brutal girl. It's the eyeliners and they do that little swoosh. That swoosh. Yeah, that's what it is. In the Cave of Ice is the Ace of Cups, Lord of the root of the powers of water. The asphalt rivers are grounded. So something is thawed, especially if you're coming from one, but you don't have to. It's not the point. The point is that things are flowing. Choices have been made consciously, caringly, and maybe we've even had bouts of stressful constipation in the layers of consciousness, subconscious, unconscious, preconscious. The yada. And I say that because most likely they're intertwined, but there's a prominent placement of whatever that head of the table might be that is the Capitan of such. But the whole crew, and number one, we were at a table, and now we're on a boat, and the waters are flowing. And I also want to note, because in one, there was like a lot of this cup feel, the trophy, congratulations. I also want to know, I see a dinosaur being born. So there's like this ancient element, like something like frozen, a piece of maybe your DNA, something that we've placed, bound, protected, preserved for a time, and it is forward, it is de-thawed, it is here, which leads me, if you're coming from one, again, you don't have to be, the strength to see that of oneself, seasons of change, making decisions to not change, to stay where you live. You know, when sometimes the collective or people around us are all like, oh, I'm going to get tiny homes, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It can get easy to be like, yeah, I'm going to make these changes too. Yeah. And then a year or two down the road, you're like, oh, no, you know, I don't want to live in a van down by a river. Who knew? This is a vacation. I pay to RV. You know, just saying, not judging. It just has the feeling of we can get wrapped up in what is, I'm going to call it like a collective calling, or what they're just calling out. Watch your energy exchanges. It might be very expensive. And I kind of want to know, you're expensive. Yeah. Accessibility, the strength to make yourself, or maybe adhere to your own gremlin boundary to, you know, it's midnight, whatever midnight might symbolize. We don't add water, or we don't feed, whatever the rules are. I can't remember. I'd be a horrible gremlin owner right now, but I would look up the rules. I would research it. Absolutely. But okay. And then there'll be learning along the way, because this is the strength of that, like seeing the cowardly lion in the Wizard of Oz and the journey. It's a supported journey, a supported solo journey. So you will meet lots of others along the way that will give you a cup to drink from when you're thirsty, maybe, but you will also preserve what you have. I have no idea where I've gone. I feel like I was wandering somewhere and then I kind of got off track, and that's maybe perfectly fine. An old piece, a wisdom coming forward. I feel like I just want to reiterate. The essence of strength. And almost like the different ways that looks and feels sometimes. The strength to not say, the strength to press a exercise bar up, oh my gosh, weights or whatever. The strength to stretch yourself. The strength to sit with the self. And to not get caught up. But when we do get caught up, when we do connect, and we get caught up in the moment, it's important that we, whoever those parts of us or people, that there's no threat. Being a Capricorn sun anyway, it's kind of like, you know, in those funny memes, like to everyone else, you know, the stoic grumpy, and I totally have that all the time, a grumpy gopher face all the time. It's just anyway, but like to the three people a Capricorn knows, we're like crazy silly, and we're joyful, and we're lighter, and we're happy. And that's, you know, take the Capricorn out of it, but bring the spirit of that into your strength. When you're surrounded by parts of you that can openly speak and feel without them having to be held into these positions and titles in ourselves, so that everything feels organized and controlled to such a degree that, yes, it takes a strength to serve the ship, to keep it running, the captain, but to also hear the flexibility of what the crew needs. How much food do we have? Like, where are we going to explore? Okay, I have no idea, but I love it. Haven't even left the cave of ice. Things are a-flowing. Can you let it flow? It's like having a conversation while you're traveling the roads and the rivers. The sun will come out. The sun coming in the cave of winds, of the wands, or of the mind, Lord of the fire of the world. This is your guiding light, also with your moon. maybe sun and moon sign stuff. And, it's like tuning into maybe your favorite reader that does the signs, and they're kind of like a guiding post for you, not a definer, not a teller of sorts, but they are just where you go to feel comfort. It's nice. It's nice to be comfortable, because in navigating the strength, it's like those moments are cherished. Those are the refill in the video games, and finding something where you can see your level go filled up and flowing. I feel like can we stay here for a little bit longer? Yeah, it's such a dance. I love it. I have flipped the scroll. If you want to take it in from the flip side, seeing a mushroom down here, and he kind of looks like one of those angry mushroom guys from Mario Brothers. But I kind of love me some Grumpy, so yeah. Something about radioactive, and I'm hearing radioactive, radioactive. Alligators. This is that ancient piece I was talking about. Thank you. Alligators and crocodiles. Okay. Cave of Hearth Fires. 5 of Pence coming in. Material trouble. You know what's incredible about that? Queen of Pence on the bottom. Throne, Queen of the Thrones on the earth. There's that cross in there, and it's also right in here. Record scratch, I just heard. Record scratch. First of all, somebody might be a DJ, so that's awesome. I love that. But the way I'm going to interpret this is with this grumpy mushroom guy. It's like this. I'll follow it. Thank you. This matrix. It's almost like a hypnotizing of the heart space, pulling at heartstrings. You're not enough. You're not doing enough. It does feel like, in a weird way, like either it's something I'm hearing, like, well, you're not doing enough for me. You're not doing enough, da da da. And it feels like, this record just playing. It's almost like you can predict this part of you, our heart, maybe that feels troubled, a troubled heart. Things that thank you. The things that you've gone through. Okay, so this is what's stepping forward in this moment right now. It's like in your heart of hearts, the kiln of the clay from number 1, somewhere along the lines, something is hardened. And now the strength that you're moving through in your hero's journey is looking at that hardened clay, sculpting into something, and it's revealing where maybe we've had to be so effing strong. If we air that out and look at that, is the memory of that the law? Is the memory the lawmaker? And wherever the heck I am. These records are playing from like 4 to 5 other people in our hearts. So maybe, yeah, this is the black sheep or different, it doesn't matter. And you just kind of like, somebody like record scratch and everything stops, comes to a stop. Do you know how strong? Yes, you've endured. Is that what I said? Injured. Maybe you were injured, heart injury, and you're on recovery and the strength to slow down. You've endured things that I think you've had to witness that just suck. Record scratch, though. And I mean this in a good way. That record that can just loop of you maybe trying to carry these plates on behalf of, like you're the problem because you can't be everywhere for everyone when they need it, to predict what they need, because then they feel lack and or left out of something, and then that's what's projected onto you, and that's what maybe you have felt and you thought it was yours, but it wasn't. And somewhere in here and right now, in this moment, in the here and now, it's like now we're Mario stepping on that mushroom of this material madness. Can I get a card to add on to that? It's unbinding something is what it feels like. To support the five of pence in the Cave of Hearthfires is the Queen of Thrones heir. Fascinating because, Queen of Swords. What did I say? The moon is on the bottom. We had a queen of something there. Can't remember now. How you doing? Doesn't matter. It's fine. In the mind, it kind of brings me into the feeling of, in the mind of the memory, is the memory the lawmaker? And maybe from the point of view in which we remember something. I want to acknowledge in this moment, if I haven't done a great job, so now we have the sun and the moon. We spoke about the moon as well over there. It's almost as if in that saying, if we pray for strength, we'll be given situations to remind us of that strength. And maybe there's something in that air, that alchemy, that you're like, aha, your strength is good. And I think sometimes also, in whatever context, regard this may be in, sometimes the strongest thing we can do for ourselves is ask or accept help. So we double jump the mushroom of this matrix connection, and you step out of that. It's just not good. So you have braved, I'm seeing the Roadrunner. I'm not talking about escaping or just running off and rushing off into the winds with no care and foregoing the responsibilities and accountability of our signatures and residualnesses in there. No, this is something that feels very conscious and serving of self, soul, and spirit simultaneously. And there is a little bit of off with their heads type thing. In the Cave of Rivers is the Prince of the Chariot of Fire with the King of Wands. Rise up, rise up. Queen of Cups is on the bottom. Maybe that was the queen that was up here before on the bottom. In this moment, I can see these two infinite energies, and they actually look like, thank you, Della. I can see the Chariot there and the King of Wands coming together. It's like playing a game of chicken. I want to acknowledge that I feel really hurt. Whether this is a very specific instant, situation, memory, I feel very hurt And I don't want to, maybe in this moment, okay, so that's kind of, okay. I don't want to exile it. Maybe I have, I, you, me. Maybe we've exiled this energy, person, place, or thing from our life. Earthly, removed, space, separation. So you can breathe, so you can think. But with it being exiled, doesn't seem to transmute it. It's exiled, so its existence is. In the cave of rivers and of the cups of feeling, it feels like this collision. It's actually not with the person, place, or thing. It's with the version or the energy, the emotion we exiled. Because to feel it, to feel the hurt, even at this moment, I'm just like, and I feel like as soon as I feel that, I want to water it down, be like, no, don't feel that. Then we haven't healed, or we haven't done this, or I thought we dealt with that, but we just exiled it. And it's returning because of the journey, the call that you're following, because damn it, this is bigger. There's blue jays in here. There are crows that are like ambulance people, paramedics. And reeling something in, like fishing and reeling it in, maybe something that we dropped deep into the bottom of our pits, of our wells, of our emotional well-being, that, was exiled in this word that keeps coming through now. And we reel it in. Roadrunner, King of Wands, I feel like, again, once it's this emotional piece anyway, or this emotion, the memory of what's around it is not law. It doesn't get to dictate or be a tyrant of the time of now. But your process through this, these trials of oneself, it's like they're digested differently, and then things move really, really quick. I feel like I just took, or the way I saw it, one of those like 5-hour energy shots or something like that. Or maybe like whatever those energy drinks are. Yeah. And in the Cave of Earth Pentacles is the Ace of Swords, Lord of the Root of Powers of Air. So we've got two aces here, kind of grounding this. What's on the bottom, Nine of Wands. Lord of Great Strength. Lord of Great Strength. Is that a burden or a blessing? It kind of feels like, even in the spirit of this hero's journey, and in the center of this strength is what I know is like commonly known as like the empath, the blessing or the curse. And I feel like that can be applied to a lot of things. Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords. Not wearing scars as crowns, but becoming part of the terrain of the map, in which the world, coming into number 3, I feel like is something that it's like you're a map writer. You're mapping the terrain of your own terrestrialness by being guided intuitively or instinctually as well, because that is a trusted guidance system. And when things try to interfere, it matters who and what they are for you to listen. Because your spirit is as strong as the sun, like solar powered, and also was in here moon powered. So It's almost like when I felt very, very hurt up here with the Five of Pents and Queen of Swords. Is that a longhorn bull? You're able to decipher through disguises in oneself first and how it's expressed outside. And that's when like record scratch, it stops. And then also how to design record scratches to become a divine and density DJ and make freaking music out of this. The crows might be significant to you. The hermit, the magus, voice of light. Yeah, there's something shining that I think has already shone a light on something. Okay, so this is how I'm going to close out. Sorry, not sorry if that was weird. I feel like this is also kind of part of your brilliance of all of this is breathing. Yes, nervous system regulation. Okay, that's great. Yes. Responsiveness. Those crows, paramedics are coming in. The responsiveness when our body, mind, nervous system, energy system, etc. is flaring up, triggered, insert words, in trouble. And so through your techniques, because this is kind of a solo journey, well supported by spirit, and people will come into your life and leave your life as well, that is also supportive. Like sometimes when people leave and create space for you to breathe, that is support. It is supportive. They're leaving. Goodbye. Other people come in, can offer spirit, etc. And in this space, it feels as though it doesn't shun the triggers, the warnings, the bells, the alarms, the whistles, but it does know how to respond to calm things like the nervous system. The vagus nerve keeps coming up, if that has anything to do with it. When the mind starts to go on fire with fury, and essentially sitting in strength doesn't always mean exuding something, is the wisdom that's coming from that. I don't know what it means, but one last caveat before I go number 3. In the roads and rivers, it's like sometimes maybe we might bring things forward exiled or existing, however, in their various forms. And you might have been felt like you've been on trial, just for being you. I'm not trying to enhance a victim mentality. It just is like that's how it feels. It's like, you know, uh, I mean, that's it. Again, it's exhausting, but cultivates a strength. And it's now putting that strength to use. And that's the transmutation of it all. And if anyone or anything outside of you, including yourself, thought that by putting you on trial, would imprison you, found guilty or found innocent based on, this is all very metaphorical, based on their information and their point of view only applied to you, and vice versa, however we might, there's no imprisonment. And how powerful are you if that's what they spend a lot of time doing? It's very curious. But again, I don't want to like nurture that, but I do want to acknowledge it. I do want to acknowledge it. And hopefully that powers you sometimes, that reminds you. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah. And it's okay to hermitize. It's okay to get out there, get some sun, rejuvenate, because you've got double aces. I feel like that's a good thing. But maybe you've just also been through why you're following your calls, because you have had snake eyes following you a little bit. But now you're like snake charmer. You know how to like suss them out. I hope this makes sense. I hope this is serve, inspire, educate, or entertain. Truly, truly, truly. This is very, very interesting expression of strength. I'm so grateful for it. And it's just bigger than I ever thought it could be. It's like we just touched on it. And so if you're here in your journey, in whatever context or regard, please know that infinity is on your side. You have probably more ancient ancestors or information aspects of you. And I say ancient not in an outdated way. I say that in a source kind of way. And lo and behold, you have not been in prison, a prisoner of anyone else's perspective, maybe, or what they want for you, or position, or how much, no matter how loud or soft they say it. But maybe that memory has been law for a little bit. And now, record scratch. The you now, here and now, is like, and the laws are a changing. All right. I will see you next week. Thank you so, so much for being here. You can visit the House of Scrying in between if you'd like for Wednesdays and Sunday readings. You can go to the House of Scrying if you want to join the print postcard club. I don't know, there's a June live coming up later on in the month. There's so many things, or you can do nothing at all. And that is enough. Your time, attention, awareness, your presence is beautiful and appreciated. And I will see you next time. Bye. Number 3, I had to put my hair up. Let's dive in. The world in the hero's journey. See what stands out. Comment. You can add a world emoji if you chose number 3. Take it in. Take it in. The sun is starting to come out. Very bright. Very, very bright. So if you, me, right here, head, arms out, I think I'm also seeing a symbol. Like it looks like that's the symbol right there. I don't know what it's applied to, if it's like pi or an ancient symbol I'm unaware of, or like a mathematical symbol. But nonetheless, it's embodying the symbol, the return to space, the return to the Fool with a different point of view. Not because the original point of view was good, bad, or ugly, but because that point of view expanded. Going and coming from number 2, you don't have to have come from number 2, but it's almost like the memories now are no longer lawmakers. They are references. They are environments. They are resources of reflections that may still inspire feelings. We can feel the feelings of the memories, good, bad, or ugly, of course, in whatever context they are, personal, professional, corporate, creative, romantic, platonic. But they don't set the stage. They're not so much the foundational building blocks for your world now. You've been able to map and will continue to map like the very world, the globe, the planet of the person of you, a persona aspect, an archetype, insert the words, what you would like to experience as a job. What kind of sister, brother, uncle do you want to be? Ex-nay want to be are. And that will evolve as well. And it exudes, it exudes. There's a hybridness here. I'm seeing that show that came up recently as well in another scry, sweet tooth. So you might also have a sweet tooth, love that, or salty tooth if you're like me, like the salty. But it's seeing this hybridization come in of the ascent and descent at the top of the inhale, the bottom of the exhale, not the expression or the experience of the inhale. That moment, we're not holding our breath. We're in the breath. We are the inhale at its peak. And the exhale as the experience of the journey or the descent of such, in the experience of such, we come back to the bottom, depleted, but the emptiness and fullness in their homeostasis are reflectively the same. There's no holding. It is. And the way you're mapping this out hybridizes those. Yes, I see you. It is a Grim Reaper. And it's kind of bringing forth that age-old message, reaping what we sow, what you're sowing. The song, It's a Small World After All, is playing in my head, which was cute because I kind of had this moment like, well, yeah, it's a small world after all. It seems okay, predictable almost. But in the spirit of that, there's almost like this community. It has a community feel. There's also an owl has been here throughout. And so maybe how the oscillation of owl wisdom in its workings, good, bad, or ugly, wicked to wonderful, your ability to oscillate in seeing in whatever context or regard you may be in or area, you can oscillate through almost like a mini hero's journey so that we don't stop ourselves before the leap. We don't stop ourselves from trying. And then maybe like, say, if we were going to take that, well, if I try and then insert one of those cloud bubbles with all the things, embarrassment, nervousness, failure, I don't knows, this, that, or the other. And it's like, it kind of removes all of them, not out of ignorance, but out of a choice of leaping, reflections of such, knowing the weather of that very cloud through the strength of number 2, the weather in different terrains will change. And it's okay. You are prepared and you become more prepared along the way. But I don't want it to make it feel like you're collecting preparedness. But there's something that would like to be honored about that, because I think that you've already been through things that can help remind you of that. It's not actually finding it again or finding it, finding you, finding purpose, finding mission, finding whatever. It's remembering it, that it's already there. And these experiences allow them to come to the surface or fall from the sky in the rain and the snow, to feel the wind against your face. It's a whole world of weather. And your return here to earth, to the embodiment of a dense expression of your meat suit, is a hybridized state of higher self. And in this moment, it feels like home. And while me may not be able to put that into linear words for that story to make sense, to say, I understand, I am home. I am here and I am home, when there's possibly, through at least one aspect of this journey, there's been a sensation of separation, homesick, being without, being left out. But in this moment, at least I can say, I am home. I am here. And integration, it's almost like taking the space of, I think we mentioned it in number 2, but forgive me, I could be incorrect. Like regulating the nervous system. Awesome possum is a great tool. Yes, however you might do so. And then also when to not regulate it, and to let the fire rise, to inspire the very change, the fool, the potential, the possibilities to rise up and shine. And so that is more of like a candle flame in a lantern that we like, symbolically is a little nicer than a volcano erupting. But if I may, without there necessarily needing to be violence about it, not to apply violence to a volcano, but, that also creates new land. And that might be as you step out and are embodying, integrating, new land can erupt. And it might be noticed by those around you or not around you, from those afar in different lands now that you're no longer connected to, but they hear about it. It's okay. It's beautiful. And even if it's not beautiful for them viewing your new land, being born, their perspective, even if it's of our own imagination applying to it, kind of has no bearing at this point. And that's, again, not applying a value system to anyone or anything. Is about staying in the center of I am here. And from this point of I am, and all the way up and around the chakras and the ladders, Jacob ladder is stepping forward. That's why I said it. Now it's I am here. It's like learning how to crawl again, or knowing how, going from crawling to walking to running to skipping, jumping. And even though you know how to jump and run and walk, you still know how to crawl. It has never left you. That ability has never left you. That skill to crouch down has never left you. And it's something that maybe you teach inherently by being you. When we felt we needed to crouch, I'm seeing somebody like in a table, like if we were like here and we're like table pose. And sometimes when we might have been other people's footstool, table setting, holding still, not saying anything, silent. And somewhere along the lines in this experience, it's coming back to, and I am here, you are here at the head of your table, at the head of my table. And that is, I got a fly buzzing around, maybe it's a fruit fly. Respected. It's a respected return, self-respect, your resources of who you are, strengthening those things, also looking at maybe what we would call weaknesses along the way and supporting them, nurturing them. So while that might be perceived as a weakness at one point, is now strong. have gone through the kiln of our fire and made that formlessness of clay, that stone, gallstone, whatever it may represent, formed it, sculpted it, chipped away at it, it buffed it, water to smooth it out. And now it's in the kiln and it's strong and it can hold more. And if it breaks, we have the ability to bring about the gloriousness and the grandness of your love as the glue. And like, is it Kitsuniji, the Japanese thing, your golden essence and golden aura. This isn't to be all like, woo, oh my goodness, I like just everything's okay. This feels like skill setting embodied now, putting it to use with having all the tools available to you. You could say cups, swords, wands, pentacles, hammers, drills, paintbrushes, cooking gear, all of the areas that we might be in. And we don't have to use them all at once. As we're using the hammer, we don't need to worry about that we're not using the drill. And if we're cooking, or should we also be doing this? And these are the things that feel like calm down, the space to really be present without that being a constipated prison that says, but I should be doing this, 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 and this, and this, and this. I have chosen. These were my options for the next hour. This feels like you're brilliant. So I apologize if I'm trying to navigate through it and I'm like stumbling through it like a blind person. Nothing against blind people. I'm trying to do the best to depict the energy that I'm feeling because it's like I have an hour. These are my choices. Should, would, couldas. And it's almost like taking all those out and saying, what is my choice to the benefits of the overall beingness of who you are, always becoming and always being for your world. And we make that choice in the day. It's like every moment can be a fool's footstep. I still haven't decided which kind of insect is here. If it's a spider or I feel like it's something sharper. Oh, that's funny because I just heard sharper image. So I think it was the word that was supposed to come through, sharper image. Maybe things are in sharper now. It's like your energy, the way you see things, sense things. And this isn't to poo-poo anything because, you know, we always like to use the blur to our advantage as well. But it's like suddenly life. I am here. This moment is in 4D. Or what is that? Sorry. Or like 4K. I have old TV, or older TV. So HD. And in some areas, we'll change the channel to maybe a memory or a thinking or researching, a documentary, something, and it's still in like old cable. But the information is there. Does that make sense? I love it. I love it. I also have just like sliced open, possibly no, it's not a quince. I think I want to call it I think it's a mango or a cantaloupe, if those mean anything to you. On top of the world, we are the one. In the cave of ice is the threshold. I'm going to take it in. So coming from strength, you don't have to have come from number 2. But if you're here right now, right here, right now, this person's feet are like right here. It's like a music note. That lava, that fire, the essence of your aura. It's like starfire. That's the word I want to use. Starfire. And while I know nothing about stars, let alone from a science space, but at least here I can travel to the best of my ability, that we see a pinprick of a star in the sky. And its starfire has traveled, I don't know, through the darkness of light years. And in its of itself, whatever that star is that we call a star, it may not relate to being a star. We could meet the energy of source star and be like, oh, you're a star. And they're like, what is that? I am not a star. I am. And they have their word for their energy, their name. But in the spirit of this, it's like that energy of following what we see as a pinprick, air holes in the container of this world, maybe. And we travel and we see the whole essence of it. And that's the threshold. As you return traveling through that, you've already traveled all through that. And while, yes, it may be a pinprick of the starfire that IUE may see being here earthly, that space might feel so separatory, separateness. Apparently I just make up words now. But you know the source of that you, that soul space, and the hero's journey that you've gone through in some regard. The benefits are holistic to all parts of you as an aspect of such. This feels like a and you will take the leap again. This feels as though if you ever saw that Friends episode where Joey's in France, I think, and he's going to step into the map. So, and I'm not talking about making a map to analyze. It's like walking the map, like walking a part of Earth and mapping it. Okay, there's rocks here, there's a mountain here, there's trees here. There's no judgment to it. It's what it is. And I mean, when I'm saying no judgment to it, I have no emotional attachment to it. It's like the memories now, or certain things, people that once had power in my mind, in my heart, in your mind and heart. And it's like, oh, yeah, there's mountains here, some trees here, water, there's a crossing, some bears over here. You just, as like a map person, I'm sure there's a word. I think my brother-in-law is actually one of these people. Or map, anyway. And you just map it for what it is. Coming back to the beginning as well with the Fool, of accepting something and then, or as that now, that's, I think, maybe the integration. Accepting something, the detachment somehow comes all together. Yeah, okay. Seeing Archie in the comics, or yeah, is it Archie? I think it's Archie in the comics. I love it. In the cave of winds, of the mind, of the swords, we have the bardo in the offering. You have left things along the way. It reminds me of when tribes would communicate, or Bigfoot, so fun, and leave markings. You've also left footprints. You've also left footprints. It's okay. There's been an observer in some of the spaces that you've been in some of the, I'm going to call the hardest times of your life thus far, reflecting back to your bardo, also the threshold. And you've left an offering there with strength, soul. And even if in that moment, it was one of the most intellectual things you did, intellectualized it as information or data, that doesn't mean it's soulless. That was the tool, the resource that your soul higher self has, that this is the best way to communicate this is through the intellect. Just because something's intuitive or intellectual doesn't apply it to mean more or less. It was the best tool. And that is wisdom. To not shun or shy away from something because it's intuitive or intellectual or it's my imagination. They all have the place, and you know that. You've left beautiful, beautiful offerings. Maybe you've even left warnings. So when your mind wanders, as the example, to a memory, and you want to feel the grief, the gratitude, the gladness, to feel that purely, unconditionally. Unconditional means we love those parts too. We don't get to add the buts to that. And even that attention is an offering to say, I will love this part of me unconditionally. And if this is someone or something else of a memory, you can love them unconditionally, but that doesn't mean things return to the way they were, that a relationship is reestablished in the way it once was. There's something funny here about forgiveness in how that is expected to look like for another party or another person. Well, forgiveness looks and means this. When for you, forgiveness, and this point is applying it to yourself and letting it go. And maybe knowing that means that in person with love is not likable. And you'll never see them again. Or you don't want to. Or whatever the case is. You get the gist. But there is peace here. But this journey has not been... I don't know if it's meant to be as hard as it has been or was or will be. And maybe that's part of those memories coming up. Trauma, habits of the mind. And somewhere along the lines, 1 or 2, we've talked about like memories coming up as the lawmakers. Like somehow maybe they've become the law, but they're not the law now. We can observe them and say, I see you popping up, but you're not the law around here, partner. The future of the fool is here. I am here. So it's no longer outside of, it's not something we're waiting for. It's integrated, it's embodied. And sometimes that might look like nothing has changed. Maybe you were not doing anything wrong. It was simply the energetic imprint point of view. And just the energy of things have more or less power. And so you go to the same store, you're surrounded by the same people, maybe for the most part. You go to the same job, the same desk. But you've crossed a threshold where people are like, you're different. And no one will be able to place it. It has nothing to do with a self-help book or a course or something that we've picked up to be a fixer. You've literally lived through this and have come to a conclusion of unconditional love for you. And that means boundaries. The floor is lava for some people. We do not hold back the rage of such, but the behavior of how we express it externally, if we do it all, we do not burn from the inside out. And we accept support when we do need help. That is our biggest strength. Where the heck am I? Oh my goodness. The dead end. In the cave of hearth fires. Can I actually get another one? Okay. So that was just a hunk of chunk of burning love. And I'm going to flip this bad boy. It's just, so there's an egg now. I don't know how I didn't see the egg from the other side. Maybe just from the shape of it. Let's see if this was like, first of all, there's a butterfly in there. It's also a baby angel, like in a harness. I love it. If these are like wings, this is like a waist, this is the chest. You know, like if I was like a superhero, like Thor or I don't know who. I'm more of like a Doctor Strange person, but nonetheless. And they would have like metal plates here, like armor. Okay, thank you. So place that metal armor in the shape of a butterfly. And then there's also like wings that go out here. And I kind of feel like I could like click or press something and they would just pop out. Be like, and now we fly. It's more of a gliding because the Fool's in charge of the takeoff. Your exits are here and here. There's a web that maybe you have or will work through a worry that someone or something, I think it was the number 2, kind of bringing me into the 5 of Pence vibes, feels left out with that hand. Like, please don't leave me. Please don't. Everyone's going to look at their own energy exchange and the expensiveness. And I'm not implying either that something should be cheap. You know, like you are expensive. And also, it's like, you know, does one pride themselves on getting drunk off a case of beer, or it takes 2? It's like, that's awesome. It only takes 2. Amazing. You know what I mean? Apply it however you will. But there is this feeling in your heart of hearts that there may be someone or something that, and not to be hard on yourself, but as these portals close, these holes start to heal for you, it can feel like barbed wire. It can feel like thorns for somebody else that's like closing them in, like, no, but I need you. You need me. Maybe they need you as a mirror to love to hate or hate to love. And I just think, you know, in the simplest way, I think you've been there, done that. You know the outcome. If I may, thank you. Coming into maybe parts of ourselves as well that have risen from this, returning home, that have been exiled. And when they were exiled, they weren't transmuted. They were exiled. They're not accessible. Through this journey, we have brought them home. You have crossed into parts and depths of yourself, most likely unseen and unspoken to a strong degree, and you recovered them. Parts of you, maybe that you thought were dead, parts of you that felt so left out, abused, and hurt, and you rescued that version of you. That's why this superhero coming out of the egg is a ta-da. There are peace and prayer feathers. Can I get another one for the Cave of Hearth Fires, please? The tear. The parts of us that were imprisoned to positions, projections, the yada, yada, yadas, you know, but again, self-accountability, we accepted them. We were moving through them. They were in and of itself part of the journey. Not to fight against, not to in turn make an enemy of, because then we're just ping-ponging back and forth. We cry a tear for the parts of us that were imprisoned. They were never exiled by us. We return them. They come back home. Very soul retrievally from a shamanic space, going into these depths, finding the seed and the source, and realizing that part of us as we bring it in. It's like being your own superhero. My third eye is itching like crazy, and I just saw it as I was seeing it. There's 2 eyes, and actually these are like arms. This is all coming out of the third eye. The band Third Eye Blind just stepped in as I said that as well. Also with the tear, I believe it has something to do with prison. Forgive me if I'm wrong. When they have that tattoo. And I do feel like it's the end of self-imprisonment. To be clear, from this space, if you're here, this isn't about entitlement, which is a very obvious energy that different layers of life are learning, right? You know, you can watch, you can see it, observe it. We don't need to judge it, but we know whether you do or don't, where it's at in relation to you. It can be a little volatile. That's their journey. But the parts of you, they're no longer imprisoned. They're home. They're recovering. They're recuperating. They are resting. They're being integrated into the here and now. But there's still this honor of crying a tear for people, places, or things from before us. And even the version we are right now, if we may look at it, consider a future version, may shed a tear for us now. I just heard the song, put your head on my shoulder, ooh, whisper in my ear, baby. There's gates here, this gateway, this seed or this spot is this. This whole egg or whatever you may call it actually started here, and it became this, which cracked open, became this, which will have all these experiences. And if I may, you know, I love me some spooky. These are all the skulls of who you once were. The ring, wandering around this ring. The ring of the eye. I think we did talk about pi somewhere, or was that in my imagination? Like the math pi thing. I think it is pi, the 3.14. Does it go on infinitely? Because there is the space of infinite. This baby, these little wings and this head, and it's like a diaper and these little feet here, but it's like if you're holding. So congratulations if you have a baby, adopting, surrogacy, etc. But also just, beyond the inner child and adult and adolescent, going back to almost seed form. And I'm seeing this ring as, what are those rings that Super Bowl champions, and very superhero like as well. So I love the way that's coming through and speaking. And also beyond even the borders of what was once the egg and the membrane of the different matrices from, I think, 1 or 2. Cave of Earth is the riddle. I immediately saw the Celtic spirals. On the bottom is the gem. I'll just put you over here. See, we retrieved it. Oh my goodness, I love it. Beyond the borders of the matrices and the myriad of it's almost like knowing what mycelium network you're connected to, even though we're connected to all, like what's closest in your vicinity. Something's been untied. I could even say and want to say a paradox is purified, but it's almost like perceiving the paradox, it just is a paradox. Like it's not a problem. It's not something to be fixed or cured or I think I'm hearing this saying or something like no buts coconuts. Some no buts coconuts. I don't know. Something about that. And drawing these, it's almost like as you would pull, did you ever play that game when we were kids with the string and you could put your fingers in and then you would create like this labyrinth of the string and then your friend would go in and be like, okay, now you go, and it would get more and more complicated. And it's like by doing this and it just whoosh. And the Celtic spirals, the riddle might mean something to you by all means, but I am seeing it's like it all comes together. Like this is the world. The prayer, the promise, when you were, or I, I, you, and me's, of course, beggars can't be choosers. And so to the fool, you chose. I will not beg for help or beg for support, make the call in this claim, in this, oh my goodness, I think we've all been there, begging, please. But then almost from that space, allowing that to be released from us, to feel that fully and not shame it, and not also waiting for a savior that is outside of ourselves or even spirit, but to open that space like birth and say, I am begging and calling because I am choosing to open up for said spirit, higher self, to illume opportunities I may not be seeing for support, and to welcome them in, and I won't reject them. But you are wise enough also to know that you're not going to accept what comes just because it's familiar or what was. Do you know what I mean? In case it's, so it's like if someone or a family thing, when they know you're in a way or you need help and they kind of capitalize on that. They're like, oh, you're feeling low. Like, well, let me come in and be your, but I took care of you. There's a catch. It's not unconditional. It's littered with conditions. Sometimes we feel like we're at the mercy. We're just like, but I need the help. Maybe that's an opportunity to essentially go on that hero's journey and change the world of that resonance relationship afterward and say, okay, there's unconditional, no catches. So when you try and give me a catch later on, or you don't say anything, I'm sure, you're like, well, no, that was unconditional. There's no debt to be repaid. This tit for tat and debt and credit in whatever this is, that's not how this relationship is working, because it's usually working in a benefit that maybe you've learned isn't to you. And you absolutely are learning to prioritize yourself in that. I'm also seeing a spoon ring and hearing the song Spoon Man, Soundgarden. Oh, that's so nice to see that up here. I'm seeing like two people like do that. Like before it was like this. And now it's like, I got you. Like, let's do this. And there's times when we're like, let's do this. I don't know. Hearing the song, high up in the sky. Da 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 da. So take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow. And maybe through all of this, in whatever shape or form, a state shifting into a state, a version of, it is not static, but a state of gnosis. and kind of coming back from the beginning to the middle to the end, and all of them being points of the beginning, middle, and end. I don't know. I'm building a knowing, and we're here at the world, and I know that I don't know, and that I know that I know. I hope this did serve, inspire, educate, or entertain, of course. What a journey. Thank you again to those in the inner circle that brought it forward. Exciting. I will see you next week for our next Saturday Pick a Card. Of course, you're welcome to visit the House of Scrying in between for readings on Wednesdays and Sundays for the summer season anyway. You can also visit thehouseofscrying.com. What else is there? We have a new print club, postcard print club, if you would like to get on that on the ground floor anyway, but you're welcome to join anytime. And it's going to be a wonderful, tangible experience for you, snail mailed to your door each month. But otherwise, do everything and nothing. It is perfectly well if you're just here. I appreciate your presence, spending time with me, hanging out and going through the journeys. I'm grateful, unconditionally grateful. There's no condition. All right. Thank you. Until next time, so much love. Bye.